Why would you ever read the novelization of a movie instead of just, watching the movie? It takes longer, it's usually worse, and it's got all those pesky, words. Well, there are plenty of good reasons. Maybe you're related to the author and you want to boost their book sales because you feel bad. Or maybe you're bored on an airplane prior to the 1990s. Or maybe, just maybe, you're out to find any little detail that the movie managed to leave out. Plenty of novelizations are just bloated versions of shooting scripts, but others illuminate all kinds of interesting details that you won't find anywhere else. Here are 7 movies that filled out plot details in the novelizations. Number 7. Where was the Joker during The Dark Knight Rises? The Joker is one of Batman's most enduring villains. One of the key concepts of the relationship is that neither one can kill the other. Batman because of his morals, Joker because he likes having Batman around for whatever reason, the grim fucker. So they're doomed to continue to battle back and forth forever. Ironically, Heath Ledger's version of the Joker even pretty much says this in his last lines of The Dark Knight.
You just couldn't let me go, could you? This is what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. You truly are incorruptible, aren't you? You won't kill me out of some misplaced sense of self-righteousness. And I won't kill you because you're just too much fun. I think you and I are destined to do this forever.
Well, yeah, not exactly, Heath, I'm sorry. I mean, ugh. Yet right after setting this up, the Joker's never heard from again. I mean, there's an obvious reason, a little shooting complication that you probably heard of, but he and Batman never battle again. Hell, Batman's able to retire, something that would have been pretty much inconceivable in pretty much any other iteration of Batman, simply due to the ongoing threat of the Joker. Hell, even when Bane releases every single criminal of Gotham, including old villain the Scarecrow, the Joker is unseen and not released. So what gives? Other than, Heath Ledger's whole shooting conflict, so to speak. The answer? Turns out the Joker was being held as the lone residence of the brand new Arkham Asylum, rebuilt after the events of Batman Begins. To make matters worse for poor the Joker, he was in solitary confinement, giving no one to play with. Guess even though Bane and Talia al Ghul wanted to destroy Gotham with a nuke, releasing the Joker would have been, too crazy for them. Number 6. Why can there only be 2 Sith at a time as established in The Phantom Menace? Users of the dark side of the Force existed in Star Wars since the very beginning, but they hadn't been given the same kind of definition that the Jedi had until The Phantom Menace came out in 1999, where it was established that there could only ever be 2 Sith at any given time, a master and an apprentice. This is, an incredibly dumb strategy, on its face at least. Why not try to have as many Sith as possible? There's no limit on how many Jedi there could be. Shouldn't you want to keep up with your enemy? Well, the answer. Luckily, the novelization of The Phantom Menace shed a little bit of light on this weird detail. Turns out, gather as many Sith as possible used to be their modus operandi 2,000 years ago when the Sith were first established. The problem with gathering up a bunch of ambitious, self-serving, betrayal-minded Darksiders is that they'll constantly betray and undermine and murder each other, leaving the Sith incredibly weak as a group. One member was able to survive the first purge of the Sith, Darth Bane. Darth Bane, yes, that's right, reflecting on how the Sith folks are pretty much by nature, pretty much working completely incapable of working with one another, decided to make the maximum membership 2. And it worked out pretty well, until, it didn't. Number 5. Where does Gizmo from the Gremlins come from? Gizmo is the adorable Mogwai in Gremlins, who sadly undergoes a terrifying and grotesque birthing process every time he gets at all wet and mutates terribly every time he eats food at the wrong time. Who would make something like this? Why does it exist in the first place? The answer? Well, it turns out the Mogwai were created as an ultra-peaceful pacifist race by an alien scientist named, not joking yet again, Mogturman. A Mogwai was to be sent to every planet in the universe in order to inspire its inhabitants to be kind and peace-loving as well. Or to be stolen away by a mysterious shopkeeper for some reason, probably because the movie has to have a plot or conflict or anything at all. Earth was one of the first test planets. Obviously, there were some bugs to work out since all the Mogwai birthed from Gizmo turned out to be sneaky evil assholes. Mog Tormin made the give birth by getting wet deal so that Mogwai could easily reproduce quickly and spread the message of peace. It's really never made clear why the no food after midnight rule was implemented. Probably just a bug he was working out on, just a little kink, you know, that killed a bunch of people. Just a small error that killed a ton of people. Number 4, what was going on with the Precursors in Pacific Rim? We don't ever really learn much about the bad guy aliens behind everything in Pacific Rim. We find out that they're called the Precursors. Convenient how they have an English name, huh? They're cloning the kaiju and sending them to Earth, and that they live in a weird, colorful world accessed through a portal at the bottom of the ocean for some reason. The answer, the novelization helps build the world of Pacific Rim considerably, going into more detail on the characters, events, and finally, the Precursors themselves, who come from a dying world and want to conquer ours so they can live here and escape their own personal Krypton. That's it. Not very complicated. Number 3, what's the deal with E.T.'s powers in E.T. the Extraterrestrial? E.T. has a few notable powers. He can resurrect stuff with his glowy finger thing, he has a psychic connection with that Elliot kid, and he has a mad hankering for Reese's Pieces. Some people call them Reese's Pieces. Why is that? There's no answer for that. The answer for the other thing. The novelization explains that E.T.'s psychic connections go far wider than just Elliot. He can communicate and listen to the thoughts of other people, animals, and even plants. Elliot's dog thinks long and hard about all the shoes he's eaten over the years. Elliot's mom thinks about her abilities as a single parent a lot, etc. E.T. can hear it all. Also, E.T. can live a long time. He's about 10 million years old and is part of the Proto-Asogian species. Plus, he's into M&Ms, not Reese's Pieces. So give back all those dozens of years of successful business thanks to the Steven Spielberg movie, Reese's. You done goofed. It was supposed to be M&Ms. Give the underdog a shot for once. Number 2, what's going on? What's going on at the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey? Can you tell me that? Well, yes, I can. At the end of 2001, astronaut Dave Bowman encounters another of the mysterious monoliths that appear throughout the film, and it causes him to experience trippy visions of the universe that eventually land him in an oddly lit room where he witnesses himself in every stage of his life, ending with him as an old man, lying down, pointing to the black monolith at the foot of his bed. Then he transforms into a glowing fetus in a bubble, some fabulous music plays, and the newly born star child floats around Earth because, you know, you got anything better to do? Float around Earth. The answer. The novelization of 2001 is slightly different than most. It was written by Arthur C. Clarke concurrently with a film version co-written by Stanley Kubrick, although released after. And while Kubrick preferred the experimental surreal nature of the ending, left to be open to interpretation, whatever that means, there are so many more concrete answers in the novel. Bowman is actually seeing other galaxies and star systems, and the beings behind the monoliths land him in the mysterious hotel room where they suck away his life force and memories so that he could become the immortal Star Child, now a being that's able to survive in the void of space, and apparently has a bunch of other powers like the ability to blow up nukes in space, because he does that. The implication that Bowman was brought to a higher form of being just in time to save humanity from destruction. See, these monoliths that appear throughout were left by hyper-advanced aliens to bring to life the next stage, like when the apes at the beginning encounter the monolith and suddenly understand how to use tools and weaponry. The further novels go into greater detail about the monoliths, the Star Child transformation, and what it all means. But the main takeaway here is that those last 10 minutes of the movie actually do kind of make sense, and you're not just watching them to make your dad happy. Your dad will never be happy. No matter how many Kubrick movies you watch, I'm sorry. It's the truth. And number 1, last but not least, why was Luke living on Tatooine with Owen and Beru Lars? Here's a pretty good question that has pretty wildly different implications before and after the release of The Phantom Menace. Why would Luke Skywalker be living with Owen and Beru Lars on Tatooine? If he and Leia were secretly brother and sister, why was she sent off to live a life of a royal heiress while Luke was stuck farming moisture in the desert like some kind of nerd? Well, prior to the prequels, there wasn't much of an answer, and it was just a mystery. Were Owen and Beru Luke's actual aunt and uncle? It seems unlikely. It was probably just because Tatooine was an Outer Rim planet that fell outside the Empire's influence, so Obi-Wan, who had been watching over Luke from afar, could feel secure that Vader would not find out about his lost son. However, the answer, according to the prequels, is that Owen literally was Luke's uncle, well, step-uncle, and Obi-Wan left him there for, I don't know. Even though Darth Vader's home planet would probably be the first place he would check, especially if any record surfaced of someone with the name Skywalker living with Darth Vader's only living relative. Really, the prequels' attempts at explaining this just complicated things a lot more. So, the more logical answer, weirdly, there was already a different explanation in the novelization of Return of the Jedi. Owen Lars was actually Obi-Wan's brother, not Darth Vader's stepbrother. So Obi-Wan was entrusting his brother to raise a young Luke, a move that actually makes kind of sense, particularly at a time when there was no indication that Vader/Anakin came from Tatooine or had a personal stake in the planet. The novelization also reveals why Leia claims she can remember her mother. In the novelization, it's established that Luke and Leia's mother died when they were 4 years old, instead of literally while giving birth to them. Thanks, the prequels. That would make her memory either an outright lie or, I don't know, maybe she's trying to seem cool in front of everybody else. She's already cooler than them. Han, that guy's a nerd. Did you see Solo? That guy's a dork. Luke Skywalker? Whiny baby. The robot or the dog man? None of these are cool people. Leia's got this unlocked, folks. Explain that. The books.